Hey, good morning, good day, good wherever you are. It is a good day to be in the world. We have one of the most phenomenal women in the world. Mama Ayo Handy-Kendi is here with us. We are honored to have her presence to be a part of the Pan African Leadership Series. We want to thank the founder, the creator, Daniel Mabonu out of Kenya, making this happen, a part of the United States of Africa discourse. And this is a space where we come together and we talk about, we share what's happening in the African world when we deal with the issues of elevating African consciousness, African reality. We deal with issues around thought, mind, and deal with economic development. It's this space where we have the candid conversation about what's happening in the African world, but more importantly, what are we doing about it? And today we have with us again Mama Ayo Handy-Kendi out of Washington, D.C., Maryland, D.C. area. DMV is what it is called. And so she has been at the forefront of making sure that we have something to celebrate ourselves, to understand how can we celebrate our African beingness, how to reconcile, how to atone for certain misgivings, how to move forward, how to heal. She is a breathologist, among all the things that she does. But today we're going to focus on Black Love Day. Black Love Day is February 13th. It is a calendar day. And so, Mama, just talk to us about Black Love Day. Give us an introduction to who you are, because note that this is all over the world, the African world. People are checking this out. Many people are hearing about this for the first time. So the introduction, what is Black Love Day? How did you come up with this idea? And why is it so important for us to observe it?
I give thanks and praise first and foremost to the Creator, giving thanks and praise to our ancestors. So grateful to be here. This is very exciting to me to be speaking to people all over the world because Black Love Day gives us a chance to celebrate ourselves. It is a commemorative holiday, which means that it's not necessarily a state official holiday. Instead, it is a decision for people to embrace the observance, a day, we say, of love in action. It is the fourth oldest African American holiday. It's a day of observance of the five tenets of Black love, in which we demonstrate for 24 hours using the guidelines of these guiding principles to help us to heal ourselves and heal our relationships. It is a day of atonement where we do offer forgiveness of the things that perhaps we have done as wrongs to others. And it's a day of reconciliation in which we are able to forgive and move forward in our relationships. It's a day that in these guiding principles, we demonstrate so many different things, but for 24 hours, we demonstrate love, showing love first for the Creator, for ourselves, for our Black family, our Black community, and the Black diaspora. Originally, we spoke of the Black race, but we have evolved over time. And now we speak of that there is no real race of people. There's a culture of people, there's a group of people. And so we speak of the Black diaspora, where Black people were taken all over the world, coming from our root source, the continent. We are so excited because we started this concept in 1993 as a divine download from the Creator. Wasn't something we just sat and thought of and said we need a Black Love Day. We were given a spiritual inspirational message that resonated and wouldn't leave until I began to act on this message that we need more Black love. We need more Black love. And now 29 years later, Black Love Day has been embraced by, I would say, about 9 or more different official ceremonies in which people contacted me and asked for their blessings, and we shared the rituals and the concepts of Black Love Day. This is here in the States. I'm a little raspy, so you all forgive me. And Black Love Day is celebrated now in universities, colleges, independent Black schools, public schools, uh, Twitter, and all sorts of social media is expressing Black love. And now they're beginning to attribute Black love to Black Love Day. And this year's 29th Black Love Day theme focuses on the first tenet. Every year we decided that we would emphasize one of those tenets because we want people to not only celebrate on the February the 13th, which is the official Black Love Day, but we wanted people to celebrate and demonstrate those principles 365 days of the year. This year's principle, or this tenet this year, is very appropriate to where we are today. The theme is finding spiritual joy through our Black love. And again, I didn't sit and think of this. It came to me in spirit, and it seems to be really resonating during the times that we live in, with all the challenges that we have, all the uncertainty, all the fear. And the opposite of fear is love. And so this time to celebrate ourselves and come out of our confusion, our fear, our chaos. This is the time that we need to come together, unite as a people, work together. And in the African context, my understanding is that unity translates into love. And so we, again, didn't just create this concept. In 1993, I was here in Washington, D.C., a very unusually warm day in January, just as we went into the New Year's. I took myself, by myself, just coming out of a crazy relationship and feeling kind of blue. And I went to see the movie of Malcolm X that was created by Spike Lee. And I saw the graphic scene of Black men killing Malcolm on the stage of the Audubon Ballroom. And that scene just stayed with me. And I just kept feeling the energy of Malcolm and recognizing that we must increase the peace and stop the violence. And I asked the creator, in my just thoughts, looping, and I said, what can I do to increase the peace and stop violence? And that's when I heard the message, we need more Black love. We need more Black love. It was pouring through the sunlight of this window. And 40 days later, we had our first Black Love Day. So to see it evolve, to see so many people embracing the need for a day to celebrate ourselves unapologetically Black, it's a profound feeling of being used and serving the Creator and giving the community and our world something different to give us hope, to give us inspiration, to give us a reason to be. And that's how Black Love Day.
Thank you. Thank you. Restate the theme again. Would you please restate the theme one more time?
This year's theme is finding spiritual joy through Black love.
Finding spiritual joy through Black love.
Yes.
And so I think Ayo means joy. Is that correct?
And Ayo means joy.
Okay, there we go.
Yes.
So,
we
want to acknowledge something. So though I was in DC around the time you created this, I came across it more deeply when I had some students at a university that were passing out stickers and other things about Black Love Day, and it was kind of people thought it was a joke because it's right around Valentine's Day. And one of my former students, she's now in the DC area, Dr. Adana Johnson, was one who was really on the forefront of making sure that the campus was aware of Black Love Day. And so we've been observing, of course, it ever since. And we know that it is something that runs counter to Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day has a lot of commercialism tied to it, but more deeply, it is a cultural celebration. Of course, we know of of a particular King Claudius that disallowed individuals from getting married. And so this particular priest, Valentine, married them. And there was a lot of horrific pieces that go along with that story. However, your narrative around creation of Black Love Day is one that is affirming. You're saying that you watched a movie, you observed the Audubon Ballroom murder, and this thing came to you that we need to make sure that we know how to love ourselves, love who we are. So the history, 1993.
1993.
You are the founder of African American Holiday. Tell us about that particular organization, about the and why that is important.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mwata. I'm so appreciative of you because you have participated also in so many of our Black Love Days, really at some of the earliest ones, and for people like yourself who just heard the message and they saw the words and that message just resonated in their heart space.
Yes.
Yeah, we need more Black love, and in 1993, it was a lot going on in Washington, D.C. It wasn't all so loving. It was drive-by shootings. We were coming out of a crack cocaine epidemic. There was a lot of gentrification. So Black people were being moved out of D.C. and or were just giving up their homes because of a lot of the violence going on. And developers saw that, and they were going into big apartment buildings and offering people little tokens of money. And people were going for it. And so there was a lot of disconnection. There was a lot of pain and anger. And it was all over the place. And, I even had sons of my own who had one foot in the street and one foot in the church. And lots and lots of challenges. The mayor of D.C. got, unfortunately, found in a hotel room. And we found out that he was addicted to cocaine. And I myself was challenged with my own addictions. I wasn't addicted to crack cocaine, but I sure was addicted to powder and alcohol. And I had been this person that had been on radio and TV and in print because we started in 1989 the African American Holiday Association, which was designed to be a nonprofit organization whose goals was to use holidays, celebrations, and rituals for social change, for economic self-help, and to stop violence and increase peace. So I knew that there was no mistake when that voice came to me. I had already been used in relationship to sharing the cultural perspective of how holidays did not represent people of African descent. And I was called on a lot to speak about Kwanzaa at that time. And so, I created a story. I'm a storyteller. And, I created a story to help people to understand the message of Kwanzaa. Then we started recognizing that there was many serious factors around holidays here in this country. And then we saw they were happening around the world because everybody's trying to seem like imitate what's going on in America, right? And so people were celebrating holidays that didn't represent who they were. Most of the holidays that we deal with today come from a European concept. They do not come from an African concept. And what makes it even worse, that makes African people, I believe, feel very empty, is that these European holidays that don't represent our culture, that don't come out of our history, that have very little meaning and make us empty, we are pushed, programmed, badgered about spending all this money to create the perfect holiday, to give the gift, to receive the gift. And all of these concepts were settling in with me. Every time I would go on a radio show and I started talking about holidays and celebrations and rituals, how important they were to people of African descent. We come out of a culture that rituals abound, where rituals are very much a part of who we are as a people. They give us the spiritual connection to coming from what we say outside of just doing things without being conscious of them. But instead, ritualistically, we begin to go into the awareness that the Creator brings forth our spiritual energy, and in harmony, we ritualistically celebrate, we ritualistically gather in the name of something higher than ourselves, a creator, spirit, a power. So it was no mistake at all. The African American Holiday Association was a small nonprofit. We hosted peace walks and demonstrations to increase peace and stop violence in 89, all the way up through where we are really today. And we were really appreciated because people began to also receive that message, the amount of stress that was happening around holidays. And so we created the concept of holiday stress syndrome. And this was way before the media even started talking about the stresses in holidays. And I could see it from my own perspective and in my community. The amount of money that we're spending outside of our community in the commercialism of our major holidays, and not recognizing the holidays that reflect us. And so Black Love Day fell right in alignment with that concept that we needed to find ways to turn that whole concept around. And so we start saying, spend your money where it counts in your own community. If you're going to celebrate anybody, you at least need to spend the money with somebody that looks like you. So as an act of love, you recycle those very valuable dollars in our community. And that secondly, within every single holiday, the ability to honor our culture, to love ourselves, to take care of ourselves enough to want to celebrate us. Because even at that time and still today, there are people who are still debating, that, I don't want to be considered an African, or there are people who are still trying to discuss how we got here and how we got all across this diaspora. And there's arguments and there's debates about things like critical race theory, which is, when we look at what's really critical about race theory, is that we're the people who started everything. We're the first. And our contribution is not necessarily recognized. And shamefully, not recognized more often from us, because we just haven't been taught it. Or we've been told that we have nothing, that we have contributed, and we have bought into that lie. And so the African American Holiday Association has made an effort to correct that lie. We have attempted to have the embrace of all sorts of holidays, all sorts of celebrations, all sorts of rituals, from pouring libations to having African-centered weddings and sharing that information to people and demonstrating it ourselves. We have been part of re-erecting DC Emancipation Day, April the 16th, which was a very unknown historical reality, that the people in Washington, D.C. were the first of the enslaved that were given freedom. And so we were very much part of that. We helped with the Martin Luther King holiday bill. We marched, we demonstrated, we petitioned, and I was part of the leadership. And then, of course, there was Million People marches that the African American Holiday Association was also part of the leadership, from the Million Man March to the Million Woman March to the Million Family March to the Million Youth March. Millions of people out here in the communities marching and celebrating and saying, hey, listen, we deserve to be accepted, along with activist work and helping free Brother Mandela and freeing the Wilmington 10. And I can go on. We have a long history of activism, of spearheading events. And the one event that went on for 26 years was the African American Holiday Expo, which was an indoor marketplace that allowed commerce, that allowed Black vendors and merchants and artisans, and even what we call youthpreneurs, where we help young people to get their foothold into the door of entrepreneurship. And so that also went around this country, and people began to imitate and emulate this concept of creating an African center style marketplace, especially during the times of Christmas and Kwanzaa. So we've been around. I got burned out. I wouldn't take a lot of grants that was being offered to us because they didn't like that idea. I said, how am I going to sit here and say, I want to do for self and, take grants? So a lot of the challenges of my own decision to do that, the decision to heal myself from my own addictions and take time, and took about 4 years of just breathing with myself and releasing and letting go, and also challenges in my own family. My Black Love Day was started in 93. 94, my son Rashid was killed in the streets of DC. And so those kind of, what they say, hits to you, you begin to make some decisions about taking care of yourself. So we stopped the African American Holiday Expo, but the organization continued. And in 2022, we are resurrecting the organization's activities. We've been stewarding Black Love Day the whole time, but now we're about to reopen our doors again and have reaffirming another expo type activity online so that the whole world can have the awareness of our contributions so that we can be recognized and love ourselves and take care of ourselves through our own holiday celebrations and rituals. Our website, if anyone is interested, is African American Holidays.org.
So we want to go back. We're going to restate that website, AfricanAmericanHolidays.org. Is that right?
Yes, .org. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you mentioned that was so much. It was so rich in your exposition. One thing that you said is that we don't know how to celebrate ourselves. You
Mm-hmm.
talked about the meaning of ritual, and ritual is so important. So I'm going to get to a point where I want to ask you about the tenets and of Black Love Day and the ceremony's way to celebrate that. And as we get there, I just wanted to share with you the thinking that yes, as a people of African descent, we learn how to celebrate everybody else's reality but our own.
But
We learn how to observe various alien rituals that are actually anti-African. And we have a difficult time affirming who we are, in large part because, as a psychologist, we learn to demoralize ourselves, to somehow demean our existence. And so we recognize that, and I saw where you've written this, that the idea of the holy days comes from the people of ancient Kemet that had the year divided into 36 weeks with 10 days in each week. Therefore, there was 36 times 10 is 360. And so they had these five and a quarter whole days at the end of the year. They were whole days or holy days of worship and observance that now becomes known as holidays.
Yes.
And so this was a way of affirming a connection to the creator and to the universe, and have a meaning, and people gathered and so forth and so on. And so when people don't have an opportunity to gather, they become so estranged from themselves. And this is where we are, I think, in large part, as people of African descent, especially in the US, but globally, we lose this way of celebrating with who we are, and how are we connected to the creator, and how does the universe operate. And so we learn to honor the alien construct, the alien ideas. And I think at worst, then we become less than human. And so you're bringing about the African American Holiday Association, bringing forth this day of reconciliation for Black Love Day, the connection between what you did and Kwanzaa and how that sparked it, and what Dr. Karinga was doing. And just for a note, the AU, the African Union, has just declared Kiswahili to be their conversive language. So there's something happening with, even in the African world, that we're looking at language and conducting business in certain languages. So this is a way of celebrating, right? We know that Kiswahili is, of course, not an indigenous African language. It's a combination of the Arabic and Bantu languages. However, it is one of the largely used languages on the continent. So I just want to go back and ask you this question, right? So tell us about the tenets. But before we get there, I want to hear more about atonement and reconciliation. What is it that we need to be atoning for? Why is that so important? And what is this idea of reconciliation? So please share.
You all forgive me for drinking my tea. I don't want to sound raspy on screen. Dr. Mwata, I love you because you were always such a student of history and culture. And you were talking about the epigomenial days, those 5 days of the divine. Yes, those 5 days outside of the calendar that people of African descent were quite in touch with. Beyond the harvesting, those days outside of the calendar were days of great worship, giving thanks for the harvest, gathering the family together and their community in honor and praise of everybody working together for the good of our group and our tribe. And what happened is Europeans came into the continent, they saw this sense of celebration and worship. And instead of the holy days, WHOLY, meaning that, the sum total of it all, they became holidays in their concept. And so holidays is time to recreate and have fun and spend money and, hang out and just overeat and overindulge and everything over, everything overboard, right? In holidays, right? Let it all hang out. Instead, holy days were designed to recreate the essence of who we are. If we know that we have a spiritual essence and we are in the image of a creator, then we treat ourselves with that sense that the living God dwelleth within me. And we see that living God in everyone and everything. And so part of our need in a holiday like Black Love Day to share this concept of atonement and reconciliation relates a great deal to how, in not being taught to love ourselves, Malcolm, that's why I loved him. He was the first one I heard it saying, who taught you not to love yourself? He said, who taught you how not to love yourself? It wasn't us. We came from a living, loving society that created the whole world concept. And there was harmony and there was peace before the Ma'afa, before we were snatched and taken all over the world. So to go back to the concept of Black on Black crime, a lot of times in our communities, this concept, is thrown around all the time, Black on Black crime. And a lot of it does have to do with relationships. Well, my study found out that there's white on white crime too, that really crime tends to emanate in your own home and very close to your home. Your relationships, oftentimes, we lose control and we act out of anger. And so when you think of, though, that we go beyond just the Black on Black crime, then not spending money with ourselves becomes a crime to people of African descent. The fact that we call each other the very name that we're saying to others, we don't want to be called that name, but yet we toss it around, and we try to make fun of it and light of it and say that this is, just because we're friends and we can say this and this is, but no, it's a negativity that we put ourselves down. And there's many other ways in which the showing of not loving ourselves comes forth. To bring us back to wholeness and healing, we have to begin to reconcile. We have to begin to stop and look at what causes us to get so angry in these relationships. What happens at a Valentine's Day that doesn't have anything to do with our culture, and young men and young women, they're fighting over, I didn't get the gift, or you didn't do what I needed you to do for this one day. And then the people who come together on that one day because they're told that we should have all this romance and this perfect holiday. And then the next day they're calling each other out their names. That comes from our not loving ourselves, not being taught the very essence of love. And so we got to reconcile that. We have to really apologize. And so in the Black Love Ceremony, we have public apology, we have private apology. We were given the understanding that in several different African cultures, that if you harm somebody, you don't just harm that individual, you harm their whole family and their whole community. And so we ask people to stand before the community to apologize. And yes, this whole thing about skin color, you're right. Who taught us about the texture of our hair is bad and good? Who taught us that our skin color, if you're a certain shade, that you are so-called better and more preferred? Well, that didn't come from us. That was taught to us. And so for us to be able to say to people, and more often say to ourselves first, that maybe I didn't know, you know, maybe I missed that. The teacher who was to teach me that, my mother and my father, my parents, they didn't know. And so we and continue the intergenerational of passing down certain types of behavior. We must come to the point of reconciling our differences. We can't expect anyone to teach that to us. And we can't blame or continue to blame others, although we know where this started from. But we have to take responsibility now and shift and change. We actually have divided a lot of our communities based on some of these superficial concepts that we were taught. And this is really our responsibility to change that dynamic. I have this straight African hair, right? I have native hair in the front. I have straight hair that never locked. I have kinky curly hair in the back. And I remember when I started locking my hair about, probably about almost 40 some years ago, there were people who would look at my hair and they say, oh, you got good hair. And I would say, well, I guess my good hair, I want to wear it like I know my good hair as an African. And that's good hair to me. I had to stand up for that. And then I was blessed to go to the continent. I had to go to Benin, and I've been to Liberia, and I wore my African clothes. I'm so proud of me being an African. And we had sisters in the continent who were coming up to me and said, well, why you want to wear them clothes? And they had European outfits. And I'm saying, wow, why shouldn't I want to wear these clothes? How come you don't want to wear? These are elements of our being taught not to love ourselves, to want to bleach our skin. Why would we want to put chemicals all in our skin and begin the process of depigmentizing and demelanating our beautiful black chocolate skin? Concepts that relate to us not loving ourselves. And so if we could start at a space of saying to people of African descent, to ourselves, I have to forgive myself for some of the things that I have done to harm myself. So the first reconciliation comes for us, our own self. And then, of course, we begin to share. And so that hopefully we can reconcile some very important issues, especially continental people. That when continental people come to America, some of the pain that they bring with them from the colonization and bonding with us with some of the same pain of our colonization, but instead now we're pointing fingers at each other, upset that certain people are able to move ahead, or certain people have certain concepts and cultural identities that are different than perhaps the African American identity. We've got to reconcile that. We've got to push all that aside and come together with ourselves first, and then we reconcile all of those differences. So Black Love Day, we speak on that. The tenet showing love for the diaspora is the tenet that helps us to, on Black Love Day, you should attempt to demonstrate all 5 tenets, right? So on Black Love Day, I've found for years, I make an extra effort to reach out to my diasporian friends and associates and just connect with them. This year, in recognition, we're working on the Marcus Garvey petition, a brother who helped the whole world to understand the need for economic self-help. And so every way in which we can begin to reconcile the differences, stop the separations and the divisions, and come back to wholeness. And last, atonement. Atonement simply means that at one with the Creator. Atoning, when you forgive another for the atrocities that they have done to you or to your community, then you get the connection to the Almighty, because one of the most significant acts of violence is the way in which we do not share the forgiveness, the ability to just say, I am sorry. I didn't know. I didn't mean to do that. Or I meant to do it, and now I'm taking it back, and I really do apologize for that. So we have all of those opportunities in Black Love Day. And last, I do want to say that I was so blessed to be able to go to Benin, West Africa, because President Kirikou wanted to atone for the Benin duplicity or the involvement in the transatlantic slave trade. That they saw that perhaps a big part of how Benin fell into disarray is because they did not know. Some of them may understood, but in general, at the beginning, they did not know that the selling of their own people to these folks was going to cause the beginning of something that went on for centuries. And he realized that, and he asked African Americans to come to not the gate of no return, but the gate of return. And we were blessed to do rituals there and reconciliation there. And there were people who did come towards us, and they actually atoned for the involvement. That is another very important aspect that will bring our people together, that we begin to look at where we are, accept the past, atone, forgive, and begin to work together in love.
Powerful ritual, right? The idea of atoning,
Yes.
forgiving, moving beyond
Yes.
holding on to things to be able to be
Yes.
whole, right?
Yes.
To know how to celebrate ourselves. This is the major aspect of Black Love Day.
Yes.
Why did you? Why Black Love? Why was it called Black Love? What is that about?
I again, Dr. Mwata, if I had been thinking about it, I might have considered it. This is the day as an alternative for Valentine's Day. Yes, it is, right? But I knew the power of love. I was blessed. I had a very loving mother. I had a loving father who was kind of off too. And I had to come back with forgiveness to love my father. There was dynamics in the relationship with my father very early on. But I realized the power of love. And I just listened to Creator said Black love. And Black love translated into at least a day. And there are other people who have heard this message, and they have said, okay, we need more than 24 hours. We need to embrace those tenets in several days, because it's kind of hard to demonstrate this concept of all this love in one day. I tell people, they've started Acoma Days, and we love that. We're so grateful. There's several groups and organizations who have looked at the symbol of Black Love Day, the Acoma. This is from the Black Love book. And this is the symbol of the heart. It's an Adinkra symbol coming out of Cote d'Ivory. And its symbolism is to be patient, have a heart. And the heart is really the power center. We think the brain is, but it's really the heart. The heart has a vibrational electromagnetic field, as I understand, 3 times stronger than our brain. And so when we come from a heart space and emanate love, number 13, February the 13th, the number 13th is actually a spiritual number of transformation. And so to spend one powerful day on the 13th of February, we've been able to see people actually transform because they're just emanating this high vibration of love. They're more kinder. We ask them, don't say, wake up in the morning, don't say a negative word out your mouth, don't fight, don't argue, just, embrace and love, hug. You don't have anybody to hug yourself, kiss yourself, dress up in your royal and be the queen and the king that you are for that day, you know. Pull in your family and love them and hug them and just, read to them, simple things to demonstrate love. Because, we're always packaging love. That's what the European holiday concept has taught us. We package love, so we just give a gift. Well, giving a gift is an act of love. Yes, it is. But if you just give the gift and that's all you do, and you don't give of yourself, giving of yourself is really a very powerful element. So spending time in heartfelt love for self. And then sharing that by, really connecting with the creator, showing more love to the creator by prayers and reading your holy books and just being in gratitude. Thank you, God. That kind of concept of just being in total gratitude for the small things and the big things in your life. To be able to then take that next tenet, you take it not only to the family, but you take it out into your community. And here in this country, we have too many people, they don't even know their neighbors. They don't even know anything about their community. They come from work, they go in the house and they close the door. And so they hear about their community listening to the news more often, but they may not get involved. Well, this is a day, you want to walk your community. You want to get to know your neighbors. You want to step outside of your comfort zone and attempt to support people who look like you. It's in Black History Month. Black Love Day is right there in the middle of Black History Month. Wonderful time to get to know the contributions of the people of African descent and to share them with everybody, family, community, everybody. But to know thyself first, learn about who you really are. And then the Black diaspora. How can you extend love to your brothers and sisters across the way? Write letters, read up on the contributions of the African world history. African American History Month celebrated these 30 days in February. But the world history of African people, is profound. And so to learn more about all that we've done, it makes a big difference. So, yes, our goal is to, on this 24-hour demonstration, is to just love, love, love. We say, I love Black people. I love Black people. I love Black people. I get on social media and send out messages just saying that. And even if you don't know the rituals or understand any of the concepts, just know that February the 13th is a time when you can transform your relationships by sharing love and open up this heart space. That's why the Adinkra symbol is an open heart. It's not a closed heart like the Valentine. It's an open heart. Okay. So our open heart, open to everyone, is very important. I see messages. I don't know, should I be reading this? If history taught at school made me feel like I'm beautiful, well accomplished, and resourceful Black as I am, I would consider doing master's or PhD in history. I still want to learn more about my Africanness and every good thing that makes being Black a wonderful thing. the world has ever received. Great discussion. I'm learning a lot. Thank you guys for giving us this. Thank you very much.
Yes, Matungo Bantu hates that. He hit that on the head. If
Yes.
how can we learn? Because we learn how to not to be African. We learn how to be everything but who we are,
Yes.
right? And we learn. We don't learn how they pillage and steal and take from African people. We don't learn that their economy is based on the resources, whether it is human or natural, right?
Yeah.
And so we learn that we have nothing, that we are poor, we are desolate. In reality, they have nothing without Africans. And that's why we have to start to
Yes.
love who we are. You said, I mean, that was a mouthful, that was heavy early on about loving, atoning, right?
Yeah.
Stop holding on to things, stop holding on to self-hate. And again, that's what Malcolm X says. El Hajj El Shabazz says, who taught you, right? That
Yes.
your hair is this distasteful. Who taught you all those things? And that comes from going to an academic setting to learn about European greatness and African inferiority. And
Yeah.
so Black Love Day allows for us to go back and to look and to connect. You said something about the open heart, and
Yeah.
it is a passage that says that people die more from eating them than from what they're eating. The issue
Mm.
is that we hold on to some things that we should be letting go of.
Yes.
And some things we should stop in love. We should stop and love those things. And
Yeah.
so this is really a really big.
I think you realize you're breaking up, right?
Example in the next minute or two that we have, 3 minutes.
Well, I'm going to say to this young man, maybe while Kevin is getting the technology together, start where you are. This is an organizer's perspective. 50 years of organizing have taught me that. If we start where we are and we ask the Creator for the guidance as to what we need to do, which is what I did. I said, why do I keep hearing your voice? We need a black love. We need a black love. And when I asked, what is this message for me? The answers came with books falling off the shelves and people walking down the street and giving me education. When you are seeking, the teacher will come. That teacher may be yourself, or it may be in the wind as you hear the message from on high. It may be from our ancestors, our masters, our teachers, our guides that are all also a part of this realm of the esoteric understanding of what is beyond us. But it's also right here within us. More often, we're moving around so much that we don't get to listen to our own heart. And we miss the messages from the spiritual realm that are just there for us. So to be able to ask your ancestors and to sit and listen, to be able to ask the Creator and be able to listen is very important. Yes, we don't have to wait any longer for our schools to teach us. It is way too many books. It is way too many Black scholars. It is people all around us every day who are making history. And I was so excited that the Association of African American History, developed by Carter G. Woodson, they their theme for this year's Black History Month is Black mental health and wellness. So to be able to come back to the wholeness of ourselves, to be mentally and spiritually well and sound, it starts with us making the decision of how we're going to transform, how we're going to shift, how we're going to know what's been going on. Don't keep regurgitating the story and get stuck in the story of it. Know the story, but begin to move beyond the story. Forgive, let go, atone for the wrongs. And we said, right the rights, forgive the wrongs. If we're able to do that, then you become healthy and whole and heal, and you would begin to elevate yourself. We say, Sankofa, go back and fetch it. Let's go back and fetch it, but let's also move the information to the point that we don't continue to fall into what we did. And now it's time to shift, change, and grow. Time for us to transform. And Black Love Day gives us 24 hours to use the power of our love to come back together in unity, to come back together in the awareness of who we really are. Blessed people of African descent who not only made the world what the world is today, but to know that gives us something really important to celebrate. I'm not sure if Dr. Mwata is going to be able to come back. There he is. Hi. And so again, our website, www.africanamericanholidays.org. You'll get an understanding of what to do on Black Love Day. The colors are black and purple. Black for the people, purple for the spirituality and the royalty of who we are. 24 hours every February the 13th. It's a time to increase the peace, stop the violence, change the condition of Black self-hatred to self-love, to help whites to atone for all that they have done, their racism, deal with their attitudes of bias and prejudices, and to show love in action for 24 hours. It's a day to heal all of our relationships by returning to love. And for further information, I highly recommend the Black Love book. When you go to the website, you will see the link to be able to connect you with the Black Love book. We thank you so much for this opportunity to serve. Black Love Day is a powerful time to rally amongst ourselves and teach rituals that celebrate togetherness, teach practices that uplift and celebrate our African beauty. That's right. Teach circulating and celebrating our great artwork, yes, and riveting creative productions. That's right. Make Black Love Day a day of wellness, wholeness, and renaissance of ourselves as our African selves. Yay, Bo. I love it. Yes, truth, truth, truth. We have people who are writing Black love poems now, Black songs. People are creating products in the name of Black love, and we encourage all of it. We encourage even more of it because this is our day, and this is our day. It's a powerful time to rally. As you said, rally. I love it because, like I say, demonstration of love is showing love. We demonstrate, we rally, right? We get out there, we protest about all these different things. We rally. Black Love Day gives us that same opportunity to rally ourselves together around love. Thank you so much for your share, Bakari. Is that for Kai? Yes, thank you so much. I saw other chats, but I didn't know what to do with them. So I apologize. I wasn't ignoring anybody. I just didn't know if those messages were coming from Dr. Mwata. I imagine he'll come on. Let's see. Thank you, Mama Ayo. Give thanks to you also. Let's see. What does that say? I love. What does that say, John? Help me. Hello, Jumbo. Someone said they can't hear me. I apologize for that. I think we lost our connection with Dr. Mwata. You think he'll come back? I hope he does. Well,
Are you done?
I've learned in this streaming world that we're in to keep on talking until the host tells me to wrap it up. Okay, let me know when you, what is that?
Done.
Oh, when we are done, okay. We are done when you, yes, we are done when you share with us that we should end this segment. We're so grateful and thankful. And as we end this segment, we simply want to say, I love Black people. I love Black people. I love Black people. Keep affirming the power of love in your life. Continue to represent the reality that unity is love. Peace and blessing. As we connect with all of you in the African diaspora, we feel the healing, we feel your love, we receive it, and we send it back to you, heart to heart, because we don't need no more trouble. As Bob Marley says, all we need is love. Thank you, Dr. Mwata. Thank you,